Hello. Hi. Today's discussion is going to focus on an approach, okay, to tackling questions regarding macroeconomic goals and policies. Okay, so you can take this as the first of this installment. Okay, we're going to focus on macro goals, and we'll talk about policies in a subsequent lesson. But under goals, I will focus on the causes, okay, as well as the consequences. Now, with regard to causes and consequences, if these are set as separate questions, it is not hard to come up with the response. Okay, for example, if students are asked, say, to explain the main causes of inflation or the main causes of unemployment, okay, a student who has spent time going through the notes and listening to lectures shouldn't have a problem, right, attempting the answer. But what if the question were to combine, okay, both perspectives? How would your approach be, and what's a way to prepare for questions of such type? Let me give you one example. So first, if a student is asked to discuss the impact of high oil prices, say, on the Singapore economy. Okay, assuming this is a part B of an essay, which is 15 marks. Now, how would you approach this question? I would say most students should be able to link higher oil prices to higher imported inflation, all right, which is a form of cost push inflation. But at the same time, we are aware that if the question wants us to examine impact on the economy, you have to consider all four economic indicators, okay? But see, the problem now is high oil prices directly result in inflation. How then do we link this to economic growth, unemployment, and the balance of payment? Okay, so this is one way you can approach the question. Okay, you can think of this as the direct impact, okay, of higher oil prices. When oil prices go up, inflation rises. At the same time, we can examine the indirect impact of inflation, okay, on the economy. So we do know that when inflation rises, export price competitiveness falls. When that happens, if you assume PEDX is greater than 1, X minus N falls, okay, because export revenue falls overall. At the same time, import spending may rise since imports are relatively cheaper. So from this perspective, once you have derived a fall in X minus M, you should be able to generate the following points. Actual growth falls. Cyclical unemployment rises. At the same time, the balance of payment worsens through the current account. Okay, so I will regard these as the indirect impacts of an increase in oil price. Okay, in fact, students can consider that whenever X minus M or FDI changes, okay, I regard these two as the keys. Okay, why do I call them the keys? Because anytime either net exports or FDI changes, all four goals are affected. Okay, so in that regard, I see them as the keys because they unlock the impact on all four goals, which is what most macro questions want students to examine. Okay, so how do you prepare, okay, yourself to answer questions of such type? Now, the first thing you can do is what I refer to as the 103 exercise. You'll probably find this in my guidebook under page, it's either 128 or 129 in the new edition. Okay, so the 103 exercise does this. Let's take economic growth as an example. You notice there are three arrows pointing out from growth. So what we are doing here is we are taking the consequences of growth and we are tying it to the causes of the other three problems. Okay, so this is a 103 exercise in the sense you are checking how failure to achieve one goal can frustrate the other goals. And this skill is very important, okay, especially for questions where you can't immediately see how all four aspects of an economy's performance are affected. Okay, so I look at growth. Okay, suppose there's higher growth, there'll be higher investment expenditure. there'll be higher consumption as well. And the rise in consumption and investment can result in a fall in cyclical unemployment. At the same time, demand pull inflation may rise. Okay, higher growth may lead to higher import spending, which worsens the BOP. So what we've done is, once you can see how growth affects all the other three goals, in future, okay, if there's an event given to you, like say in the case of poor expectations in the economy, maybe due to the bursting of a property bubble, once you can see that growth drops, it shouldn't be hard for you to link it to the other three goals, and hence consider how the overall performance of an economy is affected. Okay, so in my book, I not only do this for growth, but I do the same for unemployment and inflation, okay, as well as BOP. So the end result is that you'll see three outward arrows, okay, pointing up from each goal. At the same time, there'll be three inward arrows. Oops. Okay. So you are actually revising the causes of each goal 3 times, as well as the consequences 3 times. Okay, so there's 3 iterations in all, which, trust me, is going to deepen your understanding as well as your memory, okay, of the relevant points a lot. All right, so that's one example. And in the next lesson, I'll actually be sharing with you how to use another exercise, which is what I call the A3 exercise. Okay, so the A3 exercise does not focus on causes and consequences alone, but rather it focuses on combining your understanding of causes as well as policy solutions. Okay, so macroecons, unlike microecons, it's less discrete in the sense many of the concepts are interlinked. Okay, so because of that, it helps if you have exercises like what I've just shown you, the 1 or 3 exercise, and in future I'll show you this A3 exercise to help you bridge the concepts and of course prepare yourself more, okay, to handle essay questions in future. Alright, so that's all I want to share today. If you have further questions, you can either visit me on my website at www.thateconstutor.com, okay, or you can drop me an email at thateconstutor@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, and if you'd like to purchase a copy of my book, you can also let me know through email. Okay, thank you.